Nangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.
In the headlines, Malacanang appeals for unity among Filipinos in the fight against terrorism in the country. The Supreme Court resumes oral argument on petitions against the declaration of martial law in Mindanao. 10 people are killed in a collision between a truck and a passenger van in Davao City. Scores of people are feared dead in a massive fire that destroyed an apartment tower in the British capital of London.
This is PTV News. Good evening. I'm Catherine Vital with Richmond Cruz. In the news tonight, Malacanang is appealing to all Filipinos to set aside petty politics and unite in the fight against terrorism. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella stressed it is high time the nation stand as one in the fight against the evil. The appeal comes as government forces continue clearing operations in Marawi, where mounted terrorists remain holed up in some parts of the city. In the same press briefing in Malacanang, AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Restituto Padilla clarified that troops will not bomb mosques being used as terrorist strongholds in Marawi. More details from Rocky Ignacio.
The government calls for unity among Filipinos to fight terrorism in the country. In the Mindanao Hour briefing, presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella encouraged everyone to set aside politics and instead stand together to end threat of violence. Abella said this following the alleged call of the international terrorist group ISIS to intensify terror attacks in various parts of the world.
It's a fight between good and evil. Really, our sovereignty is being confronted, and I believe it's time to set aside petty politics and things that separate us. It's really high time, and I believe it's a call to the Filipino nation to be able to stand together as one. It's high time we do that.
AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Restituto Padilla said although security measures are in place, the government will not downplay the threat of terrorism.
Yes, meron lumabas na panawagan itong grupong ito at yun nga yung nakakatakot. Kaya nga po kami ay nakikiusap sa lahat ng sambayan ng Pilipinas na magkakaisa tayo. Huwag nating payagan na ito'y mangyari sa atin. Nakita naman nyo ang karahasan na nangyari sa Marawi. Kung ganyan po ang gagawin sa buong Pilipinas, kailangan po talagang bantayan natin. Kaya nga po dapat magkaisa tayo. We must all work together, issue out a united and collective public condemnation of all these things that are happening in Marawi now and join hands together in resisting the entry of this evil force. Because this is no longer a simple matter. It's already a fight between good and evil.
Padilla added that this is the reason why Marawi City is in a lockdown to ensure that no terrorists can escape. At present, the commanders on the grounds reported that terrorist forces continue to dwindle. A rehabilitation program is expected to be implemented to bring back normalcy in the area.
Our rules of engagement are very different in urban terrain. We have to be very careful, we have to be very judicious, we have to be very deliberate so as to avoid hitting innocent lives.
Padilla also clarified that the government troops have not bombed any mosque in Marawi City. Reports said that mosques in the area have already become haven for terrorists.
We categorically state that we have not bombed and will not bomb mosques in Marawi. The Armed Forces leadership is firm in its commitment to use other options that would flush out this mounted Daesh-inspired group from these places of worship that they have converted into machine gun and sniper nests, defensive position, and arsenals for their war activities. The AFP assures our Muslim brothers and Islamic faithfuls that it will not go down to the level of these terrorists who desecrate places of worship to lure government security forces.
The AFP official stated that security forces had already received information about the terror threat in Marawi City. Commanders on the grounds have received order before President Rodrigo Duterte had left for his official visit to Russia. The president in Moscow had announced a declaration of martial law in Mindanao and shortened his trip to personally check situation in Marawi City.
Regardless of where they were, they could have been elsewhere in Asia, any part of the world. when any kind of trouble erupts anywhere in the Philippines, we have ground commanders who are very competently looking after the security situation in these areas, and we trust their judgment.
Meantime, Padilla said that Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana and AFP Chief of Staff General Eduardo Año are ready to attend the oral argument on martial law in the Supreme Court. For the Nation, Rocky Ignacio.
The Supreme Court has ordered Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana and AFP Chief Eduardo Año to help clarify issues relating to the declaration of martial law in Mindanao. The two government officials were directed to participate in tomorrow's third day of oral arguments on petitions against the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte to place the entire Mindanao region under martial rule. At today's proceedings, petitioners again reiterated their appeal for the martial law declaration to be invalidated, a position opposed by the government side led by Solicitor General Jose Calida. Joy Gumatay filed this report.
Tell him, come here. Tell him to come here. And I'll say to his face, he's a liar.
Solicitor General Jose Calida challenged Congressman Edsel Lagman to come with him to personally visit Marawi City together with attorney Efraim Cortez and the rest of the legal advisors of the petitioners group so they may experience firsthand the existing actual rebellion in the heart of Moro land. This after the insistent tirade of the anti-martial law group claiming that the periodic attack happening in Marawi is not equated to actual rebellion as defined in the 1987 Charter, a justifiable argument to question the sufficiency of factual basis of Proclamation 216 leading to the declaration of martial law in the whole of Mindanao.
Kung maprubahan ng Solicitor General na may rebellion at threat to public safety sa Marawi, ang hiningi namin sa petisyon, huwag mo nang idamay ang buong Mindanao.
In response to the argument of the petitioners group, Solgen Calida threw in a counter-argument he believes is sufficient to defend the side of the chief executive.
There is an actual rebellion now in Marawi, but this can spread very quickly to the other parts of Mindanao. So instead of declaring martial law every now and then when there are rebels, why not the entire Mindanao?
Furthermore, Solgen Calida refuted the crossfire claim of the petitioners group, stating that President Duterte cited the unconfirmed and misleading terror incidents on Proclamation 216 and on his report to Congress, one of which is Maute rebels' takeover of a Marawi hospital.
Well, it's a matter of semantics, no? The fact is they were there. There was fighting around that hospital because they were rampaging already during that time. So who are we to, debate with semantics? I can use other verbs if that is what they want.
To prove the veracity of the incidents claimed by President Rodrigo Duterte as basis of Proclamation 216, Solgen Calida promised to invite and bring in the highest court Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana and AFP Chief Eduardo Año on Thursday, or the last day of the oral arguments regarding the declaration of martial law in the whole of Mindanao. For the Nation, Joy Gumatay.
The Department of Health clarifies that there is no outbreak of any disease in evacuation centers for persons displaced by Marawi terrorist siege. Health Secretary Pauline Obial also assured that there are enough medical supplies for the needs of the evacuees. Pauline Requeso tells us more.
The Department of Health guaranteed that it is closely monitoring the situation in evacuation areas amidst the ongoing armed conflict in Marawi City. Health Secretary Pauline Ubial said DOH has enough medical supplies in evacuation centers to meet the needs of the affected residents. DOH is also keeping an eye on children who are found to be malnourished.
Sa Department of Health and National Nutrition Council, nagpo-provide po kami for malnourished children, supplemental, ready-to-use food. Yung high-density food packs po yun.
Meanwhile, the Health Secretary admitted that some evacuees are getting sick, but she denied that there have been outbreaks in evacuation areas.
Ang pinakamaraming kaso ay upper respiratory tract infection. Sumunod ang hypertension, yung high blood po sila, and then sumunod yung mga skin diseases. Pero napag-alaman po natin sa DOH ARMM, ito po ay usual na mga kaso sa Lanao del Sur at Marawi.
DOH has started conducting psychosocial support sessions for affected individuals. Ubial admitted that language barrier remains a challenge between health workers and evacuees, but they are taking certain measures to address this.
Nagtre-train na po kami ng mga local health workers nang sa gayon sila yung magbibigay ng psychosocial debriefing sa mga bakwit.
For the Nation, Pauline Recuesto.
Children's welfare and development advocacy took a huge lift upwards with a team-up of businesses together with children's rights institutions for the inception, creation, and propagation of businesses and products based on the needs and whims of children. PTV's Diane Carrera witnessed a gathering of the nation's captains of industries and a who's who in business bolting in with the United Nations International Children's Education Fund for the cause of kids in this report.
The launch of the Children's Rights and Business Principles, or CRBP, included prominent CEOs and businessmen in the country. UNICEF, in partnership with the Makati Business Club, launched CRBP with the goal of encouraging businesses in the Philippines to be child-friendly. CRBP is the first comprehensive set of principles to guide private sector companies on the full range of action they can take to support children's rights. CRBP includes elimination of child labor in all business activities and business relationships, ensure that products and services are safe, use of marketing and advertising that respect child's rights, and help protect children affected by emergencies.
You know, half our population is really below the age of 25 in one way or another, and creating an environment across our businesses, be it telecom, real estate, banking, water, and making life as easy as possible for families and for children to have an opportunity to grow, learn, and be productive citizens, I think is a responsibility we all have.
Meanwhile, UNICEF and private companies shared their efforts they have been doing to protect the rights of those children affected by the Marawi siege.
So we are supplying school tents, so basically as classrooms, with school in a box, which is everything that a teacher needs to teach a class, but also books for the children.
We just came out with a request circulated to all our members for donations. I've decided to tone down the celebration, just have a very simple lunch, and instead set aside the money for the Marawi evacuees. Most of the evacuees actually are children.
In the end, companies from the business community are not just after profits. They are partnering with the government and NGOs like UNICEF with the objective of protecting the children's rights. For the Nation, Diane Carrera.
The lead agency against narcotics or illegal drugs jubilates on an eventful episode in its relatively young existence in the life of the nation. PTV's Julius Isambron reports on the performance of the agency at the forefront of the president's paramount platform of government and the cast of Philippine politics cognizants who joined the anti-drug agency in celebration of its founding that just turned crystal.
Some of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's cabinet members attended the 15th anniversary celebration of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Focus of the celebration was the intensified campaign against illegal drugs. Since day one of the Duterte administration, positive changes were noted on the country's peace and order. In his message, President Duterte recognized the role of PIDEA in the eradication of the drug menace.
PIDEA has maintained the integrity of our nationwide anti-drug operations and as a result, regain the trust and confidence of our people and our law enforcement agencies. To retain this momentum, I signed Executive Order Number 15 just this March to consolidate our government's existing anti-drug strategies. Under this EO, we'll bring our efforts to the grassroots through the Barangay Drug Cleansing Program, which would prioritize more than 5,000 barangays nationwide.
Data showed that there are 60,000 anti-drug operations conducted by PIDEA, which resulted to 80,000 arrests. With this, the first province declared drug-free is Batanes. Furthermore, the Department of Justice expresses support to the Drug Enforcement Agency's anti-narcotics advocacies to protect the future of the younger generation.
The drug problem still continues to destroy the moral fiber of our society. It has undermined national security and threatened peace and order in our communities. Let us therefore remain vigilant in fulfilling our mandate with the overwhelming support of our people, I am confident that the men and women of Patay will never waver in their commitment to rid our streets of dangerous drugs.
Patay hereby urges the public to believe only on real numbers, as this is updated interagency.
We do this weekly. Patay, it is a consolidation of all the figures, of all the data on drugs.
Meanwhile, 3 civilian informants of the PIDEA received 600,000 to 2 million peso worth of gratuity under the agency's Operation Private Eye. Also honored during the event were model employees of PIDEA. A 3,000 peso anniversary bonus was announced for each of the officers and employees of the PIDEA. For The Nation, Julius Desamboron.
The Bureau of Customs exceeds its target collection for the month of May. We'll have the details after this break.
Do not be fooled by fake numbers. Know the real numbers. From July 1, 2016 to June 6, 2017, 179 law enforcers became casualties after conducting numerous anti-drug operations in the country. 132 were wounded, while 47 others died in the line of duty.
Here, you don't have to see the sun to discover radiance. You don't have to see color to experience vibrance. You don't have to see smiles to know you're seen.
Going home, Masaru? Hi. No. Next time. Arigato.
You don't have to see to feel you are home.
The Philippine economy enjoys what might be called a Cinderella moment. Our program of infrastructure build-up will entail trillions in economic investments. We need to undertake these investments for the sake of the next generation of Filipinos, or else they will remain in the same poverty trap that we found ourselves in.
Our business news, the Bureau of Customs recorded a surplus of 1.3 billion pesos in its collection for May. According to the BOC Financial Service, the earnings last month exceeded by 3.4% of the target revenue of 38.28 billion pesos when it collected a total of 39.6 billion pesos. It added that the May collection was 23.5% higher, or 7.52 billion pesos more than the figures reported during the same period last year. The BOC attributed the improved collection performance to higher oil prices in 2017, an increase in volume and value of imports by 19.7% and 28.3% respectively. The country's merchant marines or seafaring workers are among the best and highly sought in the world of forwarding and/or cargo shipping and handling. They have brought in hundreds of millions of dollars into our economy, which has fueled and sustained the nation's growth over the years. In acknowledgement and appreciation of their efforts, a business plan competition has been conceived for the team to join or start micro, small, or medium livelihood ventures of their own, especially in the agriculture business. The details in this report from our Lala Babylonia.
The Dole National Reintegration Center for OFWs, or NCRO, once again launched the business plan competition for seafarers. This to give them an opportunity to fulfill their dream of having their own business. According to Integrated Seafarers of the Philippines, or ISP President Gaudencio Morales, one could not work as a seaman forever.
At ang business plan competition na ito ay isang paraan para matuto ang ating mga seafarers sa pagninegosyo at maipagpatuloy nila ang kanilang kontribusyon sa ekonomiya ng ating bansa.
In the past 2 years, only agribusiness-inclined proposals were approved as entries in the competition. But now, all startup businesses' plans will be accepted until September 8. The grand winner will receive 500,000 pesos and top 10 winners will have consolation prizes.
I hope that this competition will be the most opportune venue for you and your families to come together and showcase your entrepreneurial skills. I am optimistic that through this quest, you will also find what you are looking for.
According to Dole, this year's competition's goal is to help and encourage qualified seafarers to venture into social entrepreneurship. The awarding ceremony will be held on November 10. For The Nation, Lala Babilonia.
The Philippine Mining Development Corporation is set to launch a nationwide responsible mining awareness campaign this month of June. This follows a 3-day training course on responsible mining in Davao City recently. Karina Laminero Cayon of the Philippine Information Agency of Davao reports.
The Philippine Mining Development Corporation has recently organized a training course on responsible mining and protection and human rights in Davao City. Stakeholders coming from various sectors in the mining-affected barangays in Mount Dualwal, Moncayo, in Compostela Valley Province have undergone the 3-day training on foundational course on mining business and human rights, which gave emphasis on President Rodrigo Duterte's mandate on responsible mining. The participants, composed of barangay captains, tribal chieftains, leaders of people's organizations, and duty bearers, were expected to come up with an action plan that would carry an effective message to the communities on responsible mining and protection of human rights.
We are focusing on the issue of responsible mining. Because, as you see, mining really is destructive. But if it is done in a manner that will protect the environment, address the issues that are negative to growth, and the enhancement of the lives of project-affected people, mining becomes a vehicle for progress.
Sipaco further said that PMDC intends to strengthen its campaign on responsible mining through a nationwide advocacy campaign, which is expected to be launched this June.
Is that this PMDC is tasked to take control and supervision, principally to enhance the lives of people in this area and to create wealth and revenues for the state, for the government.
The local stock market made slight gains today. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index rose 0.61% or 48.12 points to close the day at 7,996.01. All shares also made increments of 0.46% or 21.63 points to 4,729.05. All counters ended in the green except for mining and oil, which slipped by 0.07% or 9.14 points to 12,482.37 points. Over 915 million shares amounting to 18.25 billion pesos changed hands. Advancers outpaced decliners at 97 to 85, while 50 remain unchanged.
Watching PTV Info Weather, and here's the latest. Based on the latest rain satellite, light showers tonight will be most likely over portions of central Visayas as well as sections of central Luzon and portions of Palawan and Panay Island. Now, based on the latest Himawari satellite, the rainy weather system intertropical convergence zone or ITCZ is affecting southern portions of Mindanao. Now, Pag-asa says this may persist for 3 to 5 more days. Now, the ridge of high pressure area, meanwhile, or HPA, is affecting affecting Luzon and Visayas. This will bring warmer and drier weather over Luzon and Visayas until Friday. And as for tomorrow, let's head on to our forecast map. For Luzon, we can see some cloudy skies over Ilocos region and La Union, as well as Pangasinan, portions of Babuyan and Calayan group of islands, as well as sections of Cagayan Valley. Sunny weather, meanwhile, over the rest of Region 2. As for the rest of the country, partly cloudy skies with isolated showers or thunderstorms will prevail over Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Meanwhile, heading down south over Mindanao, cloudy skies with light to moderate rains and isolated thunderstorms will be experienced over the provinces of Davao and Oriental Davao del Sur, as well as in Sarangani, South Cotabato, and Sultan Kudarat, and the rest of ARMM. Now let's take a quick look over Metro City's forecast over the next few days. And that's the latest for now, only here on PTV Info Weather. For the Nation, Ice Martinez.
Non-compliance with the speed limit ordinance proved fatal to a van driver and several of his passengers in Davao City this morning. The deadly incident prompted local authorities to advise new motorists to follow traffic rules and to drive with care. Marita Muahe has added details.
10 were killed while 12 are critically wounded in a vehicular accident between a high-ace UV van and a six-wheeler truck at around 5 this morning at Barangay Mahayog, Bunawan, Davao City. PO2 Melvin Libres, Bunawan Police Traffic Investigator, says the UV van was traveling at a high speed from Moncayo, Compostela Valley going to Davao City.
Linya po sa padunggit sa linya sa forward.
So is good na po sir, ang ilang speed sir?
Base sa kwan sir, ang speed nila sir, puso-puso ginudagan sir, kaya ang impact dito sa sakyan sir, bubak ng kayo.
Because of the strong impact, 9 died on the spot. They were identified as Jonard Beldera, Mary May Misa, 23 years old, JV Monsales, 21 years old, Rosalinda Subing-Subing Domingo Carmona, 74 years old, Richard Malay, 43 years old, van conductor, and the van driver Joey Alcazaren, 27 years old. Ravens Ravenna was declared dead on arrival, while the 2 other victims are yet to be identified. Meanwhile, the truck driver, his helper, and the other van passengers are among those wounded. Jelly was shocked upon learning of her mother, Rosalinda's death, who was on her way to a hospital in Davao City where his grandchild is confined because of cancer. Ang ospital sa Davao.
Nagapunta ko ni mama na magpahatod mi og kanang gamit o kana pong allowance kay iyahang apo na admit na si mama nagikan siya alas 3 na padung unta sa SPMC muto na naibawan na mo ganinang alas 5 nga muna na naitabo sa.
Mayor Sara says they also learned that the van is colorum, thus appropriate case will be filed. She also reminded drivers to follow traffic rules to avoid accident like this.
After investigation, turned out na colorum ang van, no, and na-identify na ang owner on paper sa van, and I told our city director to file the appropriate charges as necessary. The City Mayor's Office committed to assist those who died and those who are in the hospitals.
Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte, in his statement, hit on the traffic enforcers to strictly implement the speed limit ordinance, especially that he has been informed of under-the-table transactions with some traffic enforcers. Reporting from Davao City, for the Nation, Marita Muahe.
A much better and generally acceptable implementing rules and regulations on the Anti-Distracted Driving Act is finally out. The revised IRR is set to take effect next month. Trixie Jafar has more of this report.
The Department of Transportation released the revised implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act 10913, or the Anti-Distracted Driving Act, after a month-long series of consultations with various government agencies, officials, and stakeholders. According to Department of Transportation Assistant Secretary Leah Kimbao, the revised IRR allows motorists to make emergency calls to authorities when a person's safety and security is compromised. She also added that the aid of hands-free function, such as speakerphones, earphones, and other similar devices is allowed. GPS and cell phones may be placed or mounted not higher than 4 inches from the dashboard.
Because we know of the noble purpose, it is to prevent accidents and the loss of lives. Prohibited po ay pag hinahawakan mo yung inyong cellphone or yung entertainment device at meron ka pong tinatawagan or nagte-text ka or nagbabasa ka ng text. So yun po yung gist ng law.
Moreover, LTFRB Chairman Attorney Martin Delgra clarified that RA 10913 only covers the use of mobile communication devices and other electronic entertainment gadgets. Other accessories found on dashboards such as rosaries, tachometers, figurines, dashboard toys, crucifix, stickers, among others, are not covered by the law.
Bihis ito sa mga discussions before about other things that you can put on the dashboard. And these other things, other than those mentioned in the law, may be placed in the dashboard. No? We mentioned about yung mga toys, yung mga even crucifix, no? All of those are not prohibited by the law, and I want to be very clear about that. No? What is being prohibited are only those named in the law and the use of it while driving. So yung tatlong elemento na yun.
Operators and owners of PUV shall be held liable for the violations committed by their drivers. Meanwhile, the revised IRR of Anti-Distracted Driving Act shall take effect 15 days after its publication, which is set on July next month. For The Nation, Trixie Jaafar.
Solons in the lower house panel investigating the Resorts World Manila security debacle zeroed in on the seemingly weak, if not almost non-existent, reaction of the closed-circuit TV security monitoring team during the helter-skelter moments of the casino attack. PTV's Ria Fernandez reports on the lack of Resorts World manpower and training to calmly and positively respond amidst the pandemonium, smoke, and the deceiving acoustics of gunfire inside the casino that ultimately led to the unforeseen deaths of 38 hotel guests and casino employees.
In the CCTV footage submitted by Resorts World Manila to House, former Finance Department employee Jesse Carlos is seen torching a casino table and placing there a bag of ammunitions past 12 a.m. on June 2. The other video shows Carlos showering bullets to the doors of separate vault rooms which contain money and chips. Because of several gunshots, people inside the hotel casino thought there were more than one assailant, causing them to panic. Others chose to hide. During these times, no security guard from Resorts World was seen responding. But Mary Grace Rayala, the first security guard who tried to stop Carlos, denied this. This is supported by the next video shown where their security personnel tried to neutralize the suspect. They even had a misencounter when the police came for not wearing their uniform. Meanwhile, the police explained why it took time for them to respond.
All the CCTV rooms were abandoned initially, no? Kaya po walang makapagsabi nga sa amin. When we asked where the CCTVs were, when I asked personally where the CCTVs were from the management of the Resorts World, they told me that they're in the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor, which was already burning during that time at sabi nila mausok na nga. At during that time talaga pong mausok na. And when we were established, kaya along the way po na-establish na talagang hindi ito act of terror, hindi ito marami, na ito ay isa or dalawa.
PEZA's power to issue fire safety inspection certificate to hotel casinos instead of BFP was also tackled in the hearing. This authority of PEZA was strengthened by Senator Laila de Lima's legal opinion when she was still the Justice Secretary. House will continue its probe next Wednesday, where David Chua Mingwat, president of Travelers Hotel Group Inc., which runs Resorts World Manila, is subpoenaed to attend. For The Nation, Ria Fernandez.
For our foreign page, 6 persons are confirmed dead and the death toll is feared to rise in what is described as one of London's biggest fire disasters in recent memory. The inferno began at 1 in the morning British time at a 24-story apartment tower in West London. Firefighters continued to battle the rapid-moving blaze several hours later. Crew worked to rescue people trapped inside. London Fire Brigade's Commissioner Danny Cotton confirmed there have been a number of fatalities. Renfe Grenfell Tower contained about 140 apartments and was home to an estimated 500 people. Among those reported missing were a number of children. Witnesses said they heard screams for help as the fire stormed through the floors, trapping residents who could be seen from windows flashing their cell phone lights in hopes of being rescued. Some jumped from their windows. Some residents evacuated from the building reported smelling burning plastic in the early seconds of the fire. Officials said 50 people were taken to hospitals with injuries that include smoke inhalation. The Philippine Embassy in London said the injured included several Filipinos. It said several other Filipinos affected by the fire were brought to emergency shelters at St. Clement's Church, the St. Francis of Assisi Church, and the Portobello Rugby Club on Walmer.
For our sports tonight, the Philippine Ascals remain on track in their bid to make it to the 2019 Asian Cup. The Pinoy Booters defeated host Tajikistan in the encounter at the Pamir Stadium, Dushanbe, 4-3. Skipper Phil Younghusband scored the Ascals' first goal via free kick in the 28th minute. It was followed by back-to-back goals by Javier Patino, with a fourth winning goal contributed by Daisuke Sato. With a win, the Ascals now lead Group F with 6 points in 2 outings. They will next face Yemen on September 5. TNT head coach Nash Rosella is still wary of Ginebra's potential comeback in their semis face-off of the off-going PBA Commissioner's Cup. This despite the 2-0 edge being enjoyed by the Catropas in the race to 3 semis phase. The report from Quezon Sean.
Despite the 2-0 edge, TNT head coach Nash Rosella still sees some tough adjustments on their part against semi-final foes Barangay Ginebra's San Miguel. The Catropas scored a nail-biting 107-103 victory over Ginebra to put themselves a win away from entering the PBA Commissioner's Cup finals. Rosella said they will still be hard-pressed to claim that crucial win, noting the expertise of Ginebra coach Team Cone in these types of situations.
But we still had a hard time countering it. So we really have to do our homework again tonight and tomorrow.
Meantime, TNT import Joshua Smith, while scoring only 16 points, was able to nab 16 goals, well enough to help TNT's cause.
A defensive player, a tough physical player, but at the same time, you know that he's a floor spacer.
TNT will try to clinch a final seat when they face Ginebra in Game 4 Thursday night at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. For The Nation, Kay Asuncion.
Ambidexterity is a huge edge in sports. Ambidextrous athletes can effectively use both arms or legs. Only about 1% of people are ambidextrous. Left-handed persons usually become ambidextrous. Persons gifted with this are good in sports like baseball, basketball, boxing, hockey, golf, racing, racket sports, and volleyball. Among the well-known ambidextrous athletes are Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Pete Rose, and Manny Pacquiao.
In the headlines, Malacanang appeals for unity among Filipinos in the fight against terrorism in the country. The Supreme Court resumes oral argument on petitions against the declaration of martial law in Mindanao. 10 people are killed in a collision between a truck and a passenger van in Davao City. Scores of people are feared dead in a massive fire that destroyed an apartment tower in the British capital of London.
Those were today's headline stories on PTV News. I'm Catherine Vital with Richmond Cruz. Thank you and good evening.
Do not be fooled by fake numbers. Know the real numbers. From July 1, 2016 to June 6, 2017, the government